Hi, this is Andrew Bridgewater, Chartered Psychologist, with the second part of our online course, Mood and Food. And I just refer you to my book, Fit for Business, the extended edition. It's titled How to Deal with Stress and Enjoy a Healthy Work-Life Balance. If you want any more detail on any of the points that we're talking about here, there's a lot more detail in the book, as well as a lot more useful information about how to deal with stress. So, as promised, here's the second part, and I'm going to be talking here about brain health. Now, I don't know if you realise, but your brain is composed of more than 50% fat. It's actually more than 60% fat, in fact. So if you're not eating enough of the right fats, your brain isn't going to be working optimally. And there's some really powerful evidence around fish oil, omega-3, being as effective an antidepressant as pharmaceuticals. Now, as I've said before, if you're taking drugs for depression or anxiety, please don't stop without the permission of your doctor, or taper off without permission of your doctor. But what I've got to share with you is some really useful information about natural ways of dealing with stress, anxiety and depression, so that the brain can be fed the right nutrients. And when that happens, your ability to deal with what life throws at you will increase very, very significantly. So it's these things called omega-3s that are actually crucial for brain health. Now, they're not made in the body, so they have to be ingested. And three very effective ways of increasing your intake of omega-3 are to use extra virgin olive oil drizzled on salads and vegetables. And if you've not tried it, do. It's a wonderful alternative to a salad dressing. You could add salt and pepper if you want to give it some more oomph. And you'll be feeding your brain the right fats when you do that. So extra virgin olive oil drizzled on salads and vegetables not only will taste wonderful, it's actually really, really good for the brain. Wild salmon, anchovies, tuna and mackerel are excellent sources of omega-3 for brain health. Notice I said wild. One of the problems with farmed salmon and farmed fish generally is that they're fed hormones. They live in sometimes a quite polluted environment. So actually, if you can find organic wild versions, you're going to be doing yourself a big favour. And I would say also supplement if you don't eat fish. And I'll say a little bit about fish oil supplements later. But if you don't eat fish and you don't like fish, or it's not part of your regime, then you must supplement with a good quality fish oil. And as I say, I'll say more about that. Now, avocados, you may have heard avocados or of avocados. If you don't like them, I'm going to give you some ways that you can start think about enjoying them. They're extremely high in omega-3. They're also very high in vitamin E. They're a good all-round natural food and have been described even as God's butter. And I'd urge you to, as I say, give them a go. One way you can do that is a healthy snack will comprise an oat cake, for example, or a couple of oat cakes with a mashed avocado, and you can drizzle some olive oil, ground black pepper and ground rock salt onto that. You've got a really nutritious, healthy, filling snack that is giving your brain the right nutrients, and that's a great alternative to an unhealthy lunch. And I'll say more about proper food combining later in the course, but it really is a good, healthy lunch that's feeding your brain the right nutrients. You may have heard some of the hype around coconut oil at the moment. There's a lot of talk about coconut oil. One of the criticisms of it is that it's high in saturated fat, but it's actually a saturated fat that we can use because it's made up of what we call medium chain triglycerides, which are very easily absorbed, are very easily used for energy, and therefore it's kind of an exception to the rule. And a moderate amount of saturated fat isn't a bad thing anyway. We need that for our well-being. And as I say, just make sure you don't go silly with it. But coconut oil is really, really good for frying. Much better than olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, which actually changes its molecular structure when it's fried, when it's heated up. So you're better off using coconut oil. Interesting thing is, at this time of year, particularly in the heat of the summer, it will tend to form quite liquid. In the winter, you'll find it's much more solid when you put it in the pan. But just use a moderate amount of coconut oil. It also gives the flavour a delicious taste. So you can make a wonderful stir fry using coconut oil, and it's a fantastic meal. The coconut oil also helps the metabolism burn fat, paradoxically. So it is a really wonderful fuel, and I urge you, if you've not tried it yet, do get hold of some. It's generally available in most of the supermarkets, probably costs £2 to £3 for a small jar, but it'll last you quite a while, and it's a really, really good food for the brain. And finally, this is good news for the dark chocolate lovers out there. Dark chocolate in moderation, at least 70% plus in cocoa solids, will actually help you manage your brain better. Don't go silly. A couple of pieces a day is probably all you need, but it really is a healthy food. And as I say, used in moderation, good quality dark chocolate can really help feed your brain the right nutrients. So just coming back to fish for a moment, eat smaller fish such as sardines, mackerel and anchovies, because they're lower down the food chain if you think about it, and therefore there's less potential for them to absorb mercury from the oceans. So you don't need to be overly concerned about mercury, but as I say, one way you can manage that issue, that risk, is by eating smaller fish which have had less opportunity to ingest mercury. So you might be thinking, well, I've heard that flaxseed is a good source of omega-3. Well, it is, but I recommend fish oil for a number of reasons. Omega-3 from flaxseed oil has to be converted into a form that the body can use before it can be absorbed into the cell membrane. So omega-3 from fish oil is much more readily absorbed, much more easily available for the brain cells. Flaxseed oil also contains omega-6 fatty acids. Now you might think, well, omega-6, omega-3, omega-9, what's the difference? Actually, most people are eating too much omega-6. The ideal proportion of omega-3 to omega-6 is 1 to 3, so one portion of omega-3 to one portion of omega, so 3 portions of omega-6. Most people are actually eating in proportion of 1 to around 30, and that's because the vegetable oils that are highly consumed in today's society are very high in omega-6, and actually people are getting too much of that. That's not healthy. So the optimal balance, as I say, is about 1 to 3. That's in terms of omega-3 to omega-6. Don't get too much. So if you consume flaxseed oil, you're actually getting your omega-6 and omega-9 as well, and therefore your proportions are out. So just make sure that you consume your fish oil as a source of omega-3. As I say, the omega-3 from small fish is much more easily converted into a form that the body can use, and I prefer it to flaxseed oil. I think it's a much more sensible source. However, if you're somebody who can't eat fish oil for any reason, then a flaxseed oil that's managed in terms of its omega-3 and omega-6 balance is a possibility for you. And as I say, make sure that you avoid farmed fish, because these do often contain hormones and can live in highly polluted environments. So I've said lots about omega-3, but don't go mad with it. Too much omega-3 could actually thin the blood and increase the risk of stroke. So as with all of the information in mood and food, take it slowly. Moderation is key, and aim for about 1 to 3 grams of omega-3 a day. And if you do that, you'll be putting your brain into a fantastic state and helping mitigate the risk of severe stress, anxiety and depression. So just a final word about fats. They are healthy in moderation. As I've said, it's the management of your brain that's going to be improved by this, and also a healthy consumption of fats increases your ability to absorb vitamins D, A, K and E effectively. So fat consumption in the right way is absolutely crucial for brain and body health. So your assignment this week is to record your consumption of omega-3 fatty acids using the ideas in this lesson. So I want you to increase your consumption and record what you're actually consuming, not in terms of grams, You won't necessarily know that, but just the sort of foods that you're actually consuming which contain omega-3, and record what you eat in your mood and food journal. Now, I'm also going to provide you with a sample food journal, which many of my clients use to great effect. And this is a course bonus. You can also, if you want, use the Mood Notes app, as I said in the last lesson, to record not only what you're consuming in the way of omega-3 foods, but also how you're feeling. And you may notice just in a few days that things start to feel slightly different. It's all very subtle, this small, simple changes compounding to produce a massive difference. That's the philosophy of the Slight Edge from a book of the same name, The Slight Edge: Secret to a Successful Life by Jeff Olson. And let me just give you a quick metaphor from that book while I'm on it. If I was to ask you the question, would you rather have £1 million stroke dollars or today, or a penny, a cent, doubled in value every day for the next 30 days? So it's a penny today, 2 pence tomorrow, 4 pence, 8 pence, 16, 32, 64, etc. Well, did you realise that a penny compounded daily, i.e. doubled every day for the next 30 days, amounts to more than £5.5 million? Most people try and go at a health program, a lifestyle change, like they're trying to win £1 million today. You don't need to do that. Not only will you not get the massive benefit at the end of 30 days, but you're much less likely to continue with the good practices that you're starting to apply here. So the philosophy of the Slight Edge, small, simple changes compounding to produce a massive difference, is what we're about. That will generate a lifetime of change for you, not just a flash in the pan like a post-Christmas diet that doesn't succeed. This will create a series of changes which are going to literally transform your life and help you deal with stress, anxiety and depression far more effectively. I should know, I've been there, I've been in the depths of despair with all of those three conditions, and actually these lifestyle changes that I've made have been profound and significant. I want them to be for you too. So this is Andrew Bridgewater from andrewbridgewater.com, and I'll be back with the next lesson, which is all about gut health and the link with mood. Some really good research, some really powerful information here. So do have a listen to this lesson again, have a look at the lesson notes, and make sure that you do your homework for this session, and I look forward to seeing you on the next lesson. Bye for now.